Kody Brown's unusual proposal, Robyn's ire, and Aurora's own choice. Kody Brown recently generated controversy by proposing to his wife Robyn's daughter, Aurora. Robyn was astonished by the proposal. She furiously declared, "You are inferior to a dog. Aurora is my daughter, and I am wed to you, Kody." Robyn's response generated a tumultuous environment within the residence. Conversely, Aurora did not remain reticent in this circumstance. He expressed mild indignation at his father's suggestion and his mother's response, stating, "Henceforth, I shall make my own life decisions. My choice of spouse is my concern." This episode has generated heightened tension within the family as Robyn's feelings of betrayal juxtapose with Aurora's independent personality, culminating in a fraught familial drama. The air in Flagstaff was remarkably tranquil that morning, nearly excessively quiet for a Brown family residence. However, the storm was imminent. Kody Brown, the contentious patriarch of the hitherto cohesive polygamous family, had been grappling with unusual feelings for several weeks. With three of his wives, Mary, Janelle, and Christine, having departed, he became increasingly reliant on Robyn, the sole remaining spouse. However, that link began to deteriorate due to resentment, miscommunication, and regret. Aurora, Robyn's eldest daughter, had recently returned from college, radiating a newfound feeling of independence. She had consistently been the silent observer amidst the familial turmoil, but that was about to alter. That afternoon, amidst what was intended to be a relaxed family supper, Kody rose, clearing his throat uncomfortably. All individuals at the table became motionless as he extracted a little velvet box from his jacket pocket. "Aurora," he said, his voice quavering with either fervor or insanity, leaving others uncertain. "You have developed into a formidable and astute woman. This may seem unconventional, but would you contemplate entering into a spiritual marriage with me?" Robyn dropped her glass, the shattering resonating through the living room akin to a gunshot. "What did you just articulate?" she retorted, rising and striking her palms against the table. Her eyes ignited with rage. "You are inferior to a dog. Aurora is my daughter, Kody. I am wed to you." Aurora's complexion shifted from pallid to flushed. "Are you earnest?" she inquired of Kody, astonished, her voice quavering with incredulity. "Did you genuinely believe that was acceptable?" Kody muttered phrases like spiritual connection and maintaining familial strength. However, Robyn had ceased to pay attention. She exited the room abruptly, forcefully closing the door behind her. The smaller children had withdrawn to their rooms, and the house descended into an unsettling silence. Aurora remained motionless for an extended period before gazing squarely at her mother. "You consistently attempt to exert control over everything, Mother," she stated, her tone subdued yet resolute. "And Dad," she directed her gaze towards Kody, shaking her head, "you have completely lost touch with reality." She then addressed both of them, elevating her voice slightly. "From this point forward, I will make my own decisions. The choice of my spouse, my residence, and my beliefs are only my concern. You no longer have the authority to dictate my existence." Aurora donned her coat and exited, rendering Kody and Robyn dumbfounded. The announcement of Kody's proposal disseminated rapidly among the Brown offspring and ex-spouses. Christine was incensed at hearing the news. "That man has entirely lost his composure," she stated in an off-camera interview. "He is no longer concealing it." Janelle, ever the pragmatist, remarked, "This is the consequence of continually narrowing your circle until you exclusively hear your own voice." Mary, reserved and contemplative, shared an enigmatic statement on social media. "Certain truths are too convoluted to acknowledge. At times, silence constitutes the most resounding reply." Upon returning to the Flagstaff residence, Robyn abstained from communicating with Kody for several days. Their trust, already tenuous, was now precariously fragile. Kody, in the meantime, reaffirmed his convictions. "I believed it would restore spiritual order to the family," he remarked in a subsequent interview. "I did not anticipate such a betrayal from my spouse and daughter." Aurora, currently residing with a friend near Sedona, is chronicling her road to autonomy on social media. Her postings rapidly gained widespread attention. Contemplations on maturing in a polygamous household, the burden of expectations, and the quest for her own identity. Support emerged from admirers and erstwhile followers of the Brown family who perceived Aurora as a novel archetype of heroism, one courageous enough to liberate herself and establish her own trajectory. In one of her renowned video posts, she stated, "I was born into a narrative I did not create. However, I am now in possession of the pen." A proposition that initially seemed inconceivable escalated into a significant family issue. Kody, adhering to antiquated convictions and yearning for dominance, suddenly encountered isolation from even his nearest associates. Robyn, formerly his most steadfast follower, was left in a state of doubt regarding everything. Aurora, no longer merely the daughter of Robyn or the stepdaughter of Kody, emerged as an independent individual, more resilient than ever. The Brown legacy, formerly grounded in unity and religion, is now fragmented, each member seeking solace amidst the remnants of its former state. Nonetheless, on a beautiful afternoon in Las Vegas, Christine received a letter from her eldest daughter, Aspen. "Hello, Mother. May we converse? I will arrive after work." Christine observed the TV, her heart racing. She anticipated this conversation. The announcement of the family's abrupt relocation to Flagstaff had unsettled everyone, particularly the elder children who had started to establish their own lives. That evening, Aspen arrived with a strained smile. She appeared composed, however her eyes disclosed the turmoil within her thoughts. They were seated on the rear patio of Christine's residence. The sun was setting, creating golden tones on the stone wall that enclosed the backyard. Christine presented her daughter with a glass of lemonade, but Aspen subtly declined. "I am not particularly interested in lemonade," she stated softly. Christine gazed at her daughter. Recognizing that this situation transcended location, it encompassed years of sacrifice, altered priorities, and the burdens of polygamy that had ultimately become insupportable. "I require a new beginning, Aspen," Christine said. "For myself and the younger children. I no longer feel a sense of belonging here. This marriage does not permit it. Not within this dynamic." Aspen's eyes shimmered. "You have consistently prioritized us. Consistently ensured functionality, despite personal dissatisfaction. I had hoped we had ceased our running." Christine acquiesced. "I shared that hope as well. However, you have observed the current circumstances, do you not? The strain, the isolation. Kody and I are no longer partners. We are merely individuals attempting to coexist in the same environment." Aspen averted her gaze, contending with her emotions. "However, I reside here. My existence is situated here. I assumed you desired proximity. What occurs upon my marriage? What is the status of my future children?" Christine extended her hand and grasped hers. "Aspen, I will ever be your mother. Consistently support your significant achievements. However, I must also demonstrate to Truly and the others that it is acceptable to make audacious decisions. It is acceptable to depart when a situation is ineffective." Aspen replied gently, "I comprehend that indeed. I am apprehensive that we will become estranged." "We shall not," Christine assured. "Proximity does not determine intimacy. Love acts. I shall perpetually love you, even for an instant." They resumed their stillness, clasping hands as the stars commenced to appear in the sky. Aspen ultimately rested her head on her mother's shoulder. "I already miss you." Christine bestowed a kiss across her forehead. "Subsequently, visit Flagstaff frequently. This is not the conclusion, dear child. It is merely a fresh chapter." For the first time that evening, Aspen permitted herself a slight smile. Transformation proved challenging. However, it may have been essential as well. Nonetheless, the Arizona air was remarkably tranquil that afternoon as Mary sat on the front porch of her Flagstaff residence, sipping from her preferred turquoise cup. The stillness was profound, laden with unexpressed sentiments, enduring grievances, and unresolved sorrow. The sister wives' family had endured numerous challenges, but the recent upheaval, Christine's departure, had irreparably damaged their bond. Mary had remained largely silent in public since Christine declared her departure from the plural marriage and relocation to Utah. However, in private, emotions tumultuously swirled akin to a desert dust storm. Upon the return of the TLC cameras for a new season, Mary ultimately chose to disclose her thoughts. Mary gazed squarely into the camera, her hazel eyes glistening with suppressed emotion. She did not merely depart from Kody, she stated in a composed yet assertive tone. Christine forsook all of us. The entire family. The camaraderie we established. The offspring we jointly nurtured. All-encompassing. Her voice trembled at the edges, yet she refrained from weeping. She would not, this time. On a brisk autumn evening, Christine summoned the family to the backyard. Lanterns illuminated gently, laying a golden hue across the apprehensive visages of Mary, Robyn, and Janelle. Kody stood rigidly near the fire pit, already anticipating what was imminent. "I have made a decision," Christine stated, her tone composed yet melancholic. "I am relocating to Utah. I desire a change at this moment. I require a new existence, for myself and for my children." Mary averted her gaze, suppressing the sensation of treachery. "You are not merely departing from him," Mary had murmured subsequently, as everyone else had entered. "You are departing from us." Weeks elapsed, and Christine had departed. The family residence appeared more desolate and frigid. Mary discovered solace solely in extensive conversations with Robyn. Mary expressed her bewilderment, stating, "I cannot comprehend how she could depart in such a manner. We jointly reared our children. We supported one another through destitution, external animosity, and all adversities. She now behaves as if none of it was significant." Robyn nodded slowly, tears accumulating in her eyes. "I miss her as well. However, I believe Christine required something that we could no longer provide." "That does not imply she needed to sever ties irrevocably," Mary retorted with bitterness. "She could have maintained communication. She may have attempted." In Utah, Christine occupied her bright new kitchen, accompanied by her daughters. Upon viewing excerpts of Mary's interview, she exhaled audibly and gestured in disapproval. "I did not forsake anyone," she stated softly. "I prioritized my own interests for once. I selected tranquilly. I devoted years to maintaining cohesion while I was disintegrating internally. I hope Mary comprehends that one day." Several weeks later, Mary traversed the woods solitary. The trees murmured in the breeze. She halted at a little bench and seated down, shutting her eyes. Perhaps she was very severe. Perhaps she had not articulated her true sentiments, that she missed Christine. Her departure caused pain not from wrath, but from love. However, the injuries remained recent. At present, Mary could solely bear the burden of her reality. Mary quietly reflected, "I did not anticipate her enduring a perpetual relationship with Kody. However, I presumed she would remain with us, with me." As the camera gradually panned out, Mary gazed at the horizon, uncertain if the Brown family would encounter healing or additional sorrow. Nonetheless, on a frigid, overcast afternoon in Flagstaff, Kody Brown sat solitary on the porch of Robyn's residence, gazing into the distance. The soft murmur of the wind was the sole sound that permeated the solitude. Months had elapsed since Christine officially departed from the family, yet the repercussions of her exit continued to reverberate through the formerly cohesive Brown household. In an uncommon confessional interview, Kody gazed directly at the camera, his frustration and anguish evident in every word. "Christine did not only depart from me. She incited the entire family to oppose me." His voice faltered slightly, and he shook his head. "She administered poison to them, gradually, over an extended period. Minor remarks intermittently, informing the children of my indifference and absence. They no longer regard me in the same manner." Prior to Christine's departure, tensions had been escalating for some months. Kody's presence at her residence had diminished. Upon his arrival, disputes ensued. Christine, fatigued and despondent, had increasingly started to confide in Janelle. One evening, while having coffee in the kitchen, she confided in Janelle, "I believe he no longer perceives me. I am but one of numerous others, never the individual he genuinely desires." Janelle acquiesced silently. "You are correct." That evening marked the onset of Christine's subtle disintegration. However, it also marked the inception of her resilience. She ceased awaiting Kody's endorsement. She ceased elucidating her actions to Robyn. She started concentrating on herself and her children. The children, particularly Isabel and Paydon, grew estranged from Kody. They commenced the cancellation of plans, failing to answer his calls. Gwendolyn stated unequivocally one day, "You supported Robyn's children, not us." He entered Janelle's new apartment with fervor, pacing like a man consumed by obsession. "She is responsible for all of this. She has alienated everyone from me." Janelle raised her gaze from her laptop. "Perhaps you accomplished that independently, Kody." Those remarks impacted him more profoundly than he anticipated. Their resonance lingered in his imagination long after his departure. Concurrently, Christine was flourishing. In Utah, she entered a new phase of her life, characterized by love, healing, and authenticity. In her personal confessional, she addressed Kody's allegations. "I never instructed my children to despise him. However, I conveyed the facts to them. They witnessed my experiences. I needed to say little." Kody's behavior was self-explanatory. Christine discovered that remaining mute to maintain harmony ultimately resulted in internal conflict. She opted for honesty, despite its discomfort for Kody. The Brown family, formerly united by their shared faith and affection, now found themselves divided, some aligning with Kody, while others sought comfort in Christine's bravery. Robyn, unwaveringly devoted to Kody, wept during her interview, stating, "Christine destroyed everything. She fractured this family." However, Christine perceived it differently. "No," she stated, positioned in her newly established backyard garden. "I did not fracture the family. I ceased feigning that all was well." Months later, Kody sat alone once more on a different porch. This occasion lacked both a camera and an audience. Only silence. He recalled Christine's laughter, which once illuminated a room. He contemplated their offspring, resilient, autonomous, and increasingly distant from him. He said to himself, "Perhaps I alienated them." However, it was too late for contrition. The harm was inflicted. Nevertheless, Kody Brown has not participated in a formal family dinner for several weeks. Kody, formerly the charismatic leader of a substantial polygamous family, now traversed an emotional desolation, encircled by indifference, silent treatments, and an increasing estrangement from the ladies who had supported him. Since Christine's departure and Janelle's increasing independence, the cohesion of the Brown family has been deteriorating. Even Robyn, his most trusted confidant, appeared preoccupied and detached. Kody, who previously reveled in the company of multiple wives and numerous children, suddenly perceived himself as an intruder in his own existence. "I am uncertain about the current situation," he admitted in a solitary interview. "I would enter a room and experience affection. Upon entering, I perceive tension, barriers, quietude. I feel unwelcome now." On a Sunday afternoon, Robyn arranged a family meal to attempt to reunite everyone. The event was intended to be informal, potluck-style, familiar, and inviting. Upon Kody's arrival, he sensed a change in the atmosphere. Janelle occupied one end of the table, maintaining her discussions superficial and exclusively focused on the grandchildren. Mary was courteous yet aloof, opting to remain preoccupied with her phone rather than interacting with the family. Robyn strove to fulfill her role as hostess, rearranging dishes and replenishing beverages. However, her eyes appeared fatigued, and her smile seemed contrived. Christine, invited by Robyn to foster harmony, arrived tardily and remained on the porch for the majority of the evening, conversing with her daughter Aspen. As Kody approached, Christine offered a brief nod but refrained from further interaction. It was a poignant time for him. A guy formerly enveloped in affection now finds himself solitary in the house that once resonated with laughter. Kody expressed to the camera, "I feel as though I am invisible. I have devoted all my efforts to this family. Years of my existence, my affection, my vitality. At present, I perceive myself as a liability to them. I no longer feel affection." Subsequently that evening, Robyn confronted Kody. "One cannot merely anticipate a return to previous circumstances," she stated with tears in her eyes. "They are injured. You are injured. However, there is a notable lack of discourse. We have all merely been feigning." Kody collapsed into the couch. "I am fatigued from feigning, Robyn. I perceive that I have lost all connections, including you." Robyn declined with a shake of her head. "You have not lost me. However, you must cease attributing blame to others. This family did not disintegrate suddenly." For the first time in an extended period, Kody refrained from disputing. He remained silent, contemplating her remarks. Deep within, he recognized her correctness. The following week, Kody astonished Mary with a visit to her new bed and breakfast in Utah. "I merely wish to inquire about your well-being," he stated to her. Mary, initially dubious, ultimately became more receptive. They engaged in an extensive dialogue that did not rectify the past but recognized it. Concurrently, Janelle consented to a counseling session with Kody and two of their sons. It was challenging. Nonetheless, it was sincere. What about Christine? She maintained her resolve in her new life with David Woolley while remaining amenable for the sake of the children. Kody may not have experienced affection, but perhaps what he required more than love was accountability. The endeavor to restore trust, connection, and potentially love would be protracted. For the first time in months, he was not traversing that journey alone. Greetings, esteemed viewers. Welcome to my channel. I am Sabrina, and I hope your day is going splendidly. If you like the video, please remember to subscribe to the channel.